Previously on Marriage Talks.
So if they don't deal with us in a tactful way, if they don't deal with us in a, which other way
in a very gentle way,
then it does something in us. I believe sometimes it triggers. And if you're not a well-composed woman, or if you don't have the experience, you may snap. And then when you snap, instead of bringing out the king in your husband, you might end up bringing out the fool in your husband.
Welcome to Marriage Talk Season 4. Join us as we discuss the differences between men and women. We are privileged to host Pastor Tim and Pastor Judy. And for the very first time on Marriage Talks, Pastor Bonnie and Pastor Geraldine. And our very own Pastor Peter and Pauline Kamau. This is Marriage Talks, where our marriages must come to a rest.
There's something you said, and thank you so much, because I was speaking to one of my sons we were with yesterday, and I was telling him one of the issue and one of the greatest things that I was telling him you can ever do when you come together. There's nobody who doesn't have some weaknesses, not even one. But when I come, I see your weakness as my assignment to make you complete. Because when God gave my wife to me, she had some brokenness. She was coming from a family just like any one of us, which have been raised up by people who are not 100%, you get what I'm saying? And those things have a way of loving on us. But on the other hand, when I see that weakness, and most of the time, even when we talk about breakage of marriages, it's magnifying probably the area I was assigned to heal. You get what I'm saying? And then I use that one because I am using that to hammer you and to destroy you, rather than saying now that is my assignment for me to make you complete and to make you whole. But there is something, I'll still going to talk, there is something that you say that I will throw this because at the beginning of this, you said about how women process information. You get what I'm saying? And that I find also something very, very different. Because, and I see also, if men can be able to tell ladies, sometimes you speak, as you speak, you process the information. But men, most of the time, they process information and then we speak. And most of the time, sometimes that's why, sometimes the wife will come and ask you, why are you not saying anything? And that difference also can bring a lot of challenges, especially, and I think that is...
Ask me about that.
Exactly. And all that you're saying, let's understand each other. I read somewhere and said, a man can take 7 hours to process information after being spoken. But women can, most of the time, they process the information as they talk. And that difference by itself can bring a lot of heat at home.
I think Pastor Bonnie mentioned, touched a bit on it. Men's brains are compartmentalized. And so men cannot deal with two things at the same time. There is a compartment for everything. And so we deal with one thing, we finish it, go and rest. And tomorrow we deal with another thing, rest, take a break. And the reason being, by nature, we are hunters, if so to speak, I may use that metaphor. And so therefore, when a hunter is hunting, the focus is basically on one item, not anything, just that item. Get hold of it, bring it home, everyone is happy. But a hunter cannot hunt at the same time they're on the phone, at the same time they are thinking about what dress they are going to. It does. The brains don't work like that. But conversely, women are created to be nurturers. So they are home carers. Doesn't mean men don't do, but by nature, that was one of the purposes. And so if you have 3-4 children, the women are created to process information so quickly that they can pick up the subtle changes within the family unit. And that is why it is very hard for you to lie to your wife. Well, most times my wife will ask, we will see a change and ask me, what's wrong? And I will say, nothing. but already something is wrong. She has picked it.
Yeah.
I don't even necessarily have to have a facial thing, but she has picked it.
Yeah.
That's as natural as they are created to pick such subtle changes.
That's right. Yeah.
And so the way they process information and network information is from both hemispheres of the brain.
Yeah.
And as such, they will be able to pick a lot of information, process it and think it and speak about it. They can actually speak four topics at the same time. They amaze me. Like when we were, I think we were driving yesterday. My wife is on the phone. And we give way to an approaching vehicle. And there is a lady who is walking, who is causing a hazard. She has picked the dress she's wearing and the color. and she's also telling me, now turn left here. Yeah. Now, I'm on the steering wheel. And now I'm lost because there's something I was telling her, but I'm driving. Yeah. And she expects me to take left. She has seen somebody with a green. And because they process all this so quickly, but we can only do one thing at a time. And I think the reality of it, both of us as husbands and wives have to understand each other. That the wives have to understand. We deal. So for example, when you bring a problem to a man will tell you, just leave it with me. And then they'll take like 3 days. 2 hours later, she is asking, have you thought about it? But because of compartmentalizing issues, we have to deal with one thing at a time. And it's not that we are refusing to talk. And I think we'll touch on it later. But that's because of how we are.
Actually, what she has said. You may, for example, your wife may be pressurizing you to address a certain issue. Maybe it's an issue with school, or maybe it's a letter that came. And men have a habit of, first of all, shoving that thing at the back. Everything that comes, nothing that is addressed, unless it's a fight. Nothing is addressed there and there. So I will do it. Okay, it's a phone call. Did you make that phone call? I'm going to do it. So it's like men, first of all, need to think through before they.
That's right.
They do it. And then you maybe your wife, women, they are able to synthesize things, as Pastor have said, immediately, and they already have a solution, and they want to act quick. But then, for example, maybe there's a letter that comes on Monday, or maybe a need that needs to be addressed. But as a man, you feel like, how am I going to address this? So we take time to think through all the pros and cons. If I do this and this, what will really lead to? And because we like to do things right. I don't know, most men we don't like making mistakes. Yes, I know we take we can take risk, but we like thinking through. So maybe that thing need to be addressed on Monday, and you don't address it, and then you wait 2-3 days. Then on Thursday you are coming. You are telling your wife, "Oh, you know what you are talking about last day on Monday? I have a reason." And your wife is saying, "Talking about what? I solved it. I dealt with it because." We take time, and then we make sure that everything is in place. And if there is a problem that may arise, this is how we are going to solve it. So we think long term and the pros and cons, while women are able to solve things quickly.
And you said something, because I think this is why most of the time, sometimes I was dealing with another guy, and the wife was telling me sometimes the husband is very harsh with words. And most of the time, sometimes when I was talking to the lady, I was telling her, probably you are pressurizing him to speak there and there. And most of the time, sometimes when men are very harsh with words, is when you are putting pressure for him to speak there and there, instead of knowing who he is, how he processes the information, and when he is ready, he will talk. I was reading Genesis 32 verse 24, where the Bible talks about Jacob. When Jacob was about to face his brother Esau, the Bible says he separated everything. And when he separated everything, and the Bible says he was left alone. And sometimes, if men probably could talk with ladies, they will tell them sometimes, especially when there is imminent danger, where there is something that need a lot of thinking, just leave men alone for some time, for them to process the information because of the way we are wired, the way we are. But when we are ready, we're going to come out. And I believe that is something that brings a lot of heat in families because we don't understand how we are wired and how we process this information. Yeah.
And I think also the interconnectedness, the way the ladies are created, everything they think through is interconnected.
Yeah.
The child is interconnected to something else, emotions, and everything for them is interconnected. While for men, it is very compartmentalized. And so therefore, when women are thinking through something, that process involves also their emotive space. And so everything that they think through most times has feelings accompanied. And when you don't respond to it, they misread that to mean you don't care. So oftentimes a conversation will be, you never listen to me, or you don't seem to care enough about this and that, or you don't want to take time even when I tell you to do this or that. And it's not necessarily that the man doesn't care, but it's because there are emotions that are invested because of the interconnectedness of how they look at things. But when you look at the way men look at things, there is a devoidness there of emotions. They think things, then they look at things logically because they want to provide solutions. And anytime emotions come in, as Pastor is saying, there is, because of a lack of being able to control that emotion, then there is a harshness that comes with it. Let me give you an example. David is in exile and he's run away from Saul. He's with his band of men, and one day he comes to a guy called Nabal. He's been providing security for him. And he says, I see you have a feast. Why don't you provide some provisions for me and my men? Because we have also been providing a service.
That's right.
Nabal just speaks rudely, just like that. And the report comes to David. Now, when David receives that response, immediately he makes a decision. But he makes a fatal decision because for him, the solution was a fight. Same problem. Abigail, the wife of Nabal, hears of what has happened. And she looks at the whole situation, assesses the whole situation, and sees there is a problem here. See, Abigail and David have the same problem, Nabal. But because David went over to the other side of emotiveness, he lost his mind. And he was going to do more harm had it not been for Abigail's intervention. Because while women are interconnected in everything else, they are still manageable. They still are able to manage emotions going along with how they think. And that is why I think for men, we try as much as possible to avoid investing in emotions, but logically approach matters. So when we converse, we want to converse with solutions.
And also maybe something else maybe to add on that scenario. Men, when they become angry, or, the way we are wired, obvious, is to give solutions and to have answers. But then the other side of men is that when we are unable to do what we are demanded, it's like we have what you call fradding, whereby it's like you are not thinking, and it's like the blood come in your head. So it's like you're not thinking anything else. And mostly it's either fight or flight. So, and that's why you find that most men react physically, because that is their wiring. And is it supposed to be like so? Now that we know that we are quick, especially when it comes to temper, or when we don't have solution, and this is how we react. I think it's also advisable for men, if we are unable to control yourself. I always advise men, get time out. Before you make any major decision, before you make that phone call. I don't know about you, maybe even when it comes to, there are sometimes you feel like calling somebody and giving him the peace of your mind. But most of the time when I have refrained myself for maybe 5-10 minutes, or even sometimes depending on severity of the matter, I take maybe 15-20 minutes. Then I realize if I made that phone call when I wanted to make that phone call, maybe I would have done more damage. So I think this I think if David took some 20 minutes, maybe he would not have made that decision.
Yeah. And you see, and you see one of the things, and I hope that we can be able to have a voice to say this, especially something about men, because when men is put a lot of pressure, and this is where sometimes when we understand our differences, we are able to respond and to help each other. Because once you pressure a man, you either react in two ways. Either he will go mute or he will respond with anger. So it is good for men sometimes, when it's in such a situation, you just give him time, and when he is ready, he will come out. Let me also say this, something else about our differences, probably when I look at myself and my wife, different genders, is about our needs. Because we have very different needs. Our needs are different. And I don't know what you think about our needs, compared to our spouses. Yeah.
Let me just give you a good example. This is obvious. We are trying to help families here, help couples. For example, when it comes to marriage, let's a good example is today is talking about marriage. Yeah, a man never think their marriage is in problem. They say if it's so broken, don't try to fix it. Yeah. So when it comes now to even reading books about marriage, men will rarely take a book and read about marriage because they think everything is okay. But women, they are like farmers, so they like to weed, fertilize their marriage, make sure that they are taking care of it. So that whenever the women hear seminars or something to do with marriage, women will be the first to do it. Yeah. And I think this should help so many women who are trying to pull their men to come to marriage seminars. And they're wondering, why are we going for marriage seminar? We are not in trouble. Yeah. So because men, the way we synthesize things is we think that maybe something needs to be addressed if it has a problem. So can you see that difference there? So, but for women, because they are naturals and they want things to work, they want to, they think of nourishing the marriage. So they will read books, they will go to seminars. But now, when you read, and this should be help women. So don't try to drag your man into a marriage seminar, especially if you have not explained to them the reason. Yeah. Because men see things, you need things when there's a problem. I'm not saying generally all men, but the biggest number of men. So that's one of the difference that need to be addressed, how we see things, and especially beginning with marriage. Yeah. So how can we address this? It is now when a woman realizes actually this is how men think, and this is how I think. Yeah. So you may be offended thinking that the man does not care about the wedding or the marriage or the family because he's refusing to come for the seminar. Yeah. But in actual fact, he cares. Yeah. It's only that you did not address it the way it's supposed to be addressed. Yeah. So because sometimes we have to think from the perspective of the other person. Yeah. And that when women realize that, then you can begin to plan ahead. Yeah. How can I be able to speak to my man about marriage? Yeah. About how can we, strengthen our marriage? So it's not from a point of problem, but actually how can we make it better? Yeah. And I believe because most of the marriages tend to go for help when they are corruption. Yeah. But maybe for a long time the women have been crying, I wish my man can see this is the problem. Yeah. But the key thing is now understanding that it's not you're not trying to heal it when there's a problem, but actually you can begin to nurture it from the word go. Yeah. And knowing as a woman, knowing this is how we address. Yeah. And then for a man also need to understand that actually that women will pressurize you for to go for a seminar, not because you have a problem, but because the way they see things. Yeah. I gave a scenario of a marriage because obviously we are talking about marriage, but there are differences, different areas where we can talk about how women see things. Yeah. And
also, if I may add on to what Pastor has said, when you think of a man, we say normally a man has four faces, and I want to say this at the risk of being stereotyping, but I don't want to stereotype and say it is every man. Yeah. There are four general faces in a man. Yeah. There is the face of a king. Yeah. There is the face of a warrior.
Yeah.
There is the face of a lover.
Yeah.
And the face of a friend.
Yeah.
Within a man.
Okay, repeat them again for us.
It's the face of a king.
The face of a king.
That is the area of righteous convictions.
Okay.
And there is the face of a warrior. That is a fighting spirit.
That's right.
In man.
Yeah.
That's why every young boy will want to stand up for themselves or stand for their people.
Yeah.
Then there is the face of a friend.
Okay.
And that is where you get camaraderie with other friends, peers of your age.
Yeah.
And then there is the face of a lover.
Yeah.
That is a side of you that is attracted to the opposite sex. And I think the biggest challenge in marriage is because, first of all, wives do not recognize these four.
Yeah.
That that for a king, what they need is honor. Kings demand honor.
Wow. Okay.
So the number one complaint of men is that their wives don't respect them.
Now, let's stop right there.
Yeah.
Let's stop right there, because the way you have unpacked it, if I thought we can look at each other, every one of them individually, those 4 points. And when it comes, because when you talk about respect and honor, sometimes I find we use words and we don't actually, put it in a very practical way, because there's a guy whom I was talking to and they're saying, I need respect. I need this. And it's true, it's respect. How does respect play out when a woman or when your spouse is relating to you? Is it the way I'm talking about you? Is the way I'm talking to you? Is, what do we have when you talk about respect?
No, hopefully, maybe it will not affect his train of thoughts.
Yes,
but I just want to add on that. When it comes to respect, actually, most men will say, it's better you don't love me.
Yeah.
But men treasure respect more than actually love.
Yeah.
Because, and I've realized actually, maybe even speaking from my perspective, not only from my wife, even from my peers, and maybe respect plays a big part. And respect goes to the way maybe somebody speaks to you, and maybe the way they address you.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that maybe, I know we come from different cultures, whereby women sometimes fall on the ground.
Yeah.
And you can fall on the ground, but at the end of the day, it's not coming from the heart. But I think when you ask how do we quantify respect? Number one, the tone.
The tone.
And I think if this can be addressed, the tone that somebody speaks to you, I think that is, I don't know.
Addressing you publicly?
Not even publicly.
Even privately.
Even privately.
Listen, I don't want somebody to pretend that you can call me all good names in the public.
Yeah, and
then you are devil in the house.
Yeah.
No. I'm talking about that's actually the big. If you respect me in the house, I know it will be very, very easy for you to respect me in the public. So I think the key thing here is the way you address me, the way a man is addressed. I think the tone.
The tone.
And obviously sometimes it's natural, it's normal. Sometimes maybe the voice may go high, but I think respect. Let me say, respect is something from the heart.
Yeah.
And it have to be intentional for you to be able to just the way you respect people, other people. I believe this is the women need to understand that it matters a lot. Respect means a lot to men. Maybe I think you can add on that.
I think you've touched on a very important issue, love, because part of the major needs of women is love, affirmation, and maybe is an appreciation and acceptance. Women want to feel they are accepted, they are affirmed, they are appreciated, then they are admired. Key.
Yeah.
That makes them feel loved. But for a man, as Pastor Bonnie is saying, the way you show love to a man as a woman or as a wife is by your respect, not words. Because men are not looking to be told, you have a nice figure, your walking style is nice. No, show me the respect. I will know that you love me.
That's right.
And that inherent cry comes from the king inside of you.
That's right.
Boys are born to be kings, and so with a king comes a demand for love. That's why King Vashti could not stay in the kingdom anymore. And they needed an Esther who was humble, who was honoring, and who was accepting of the trappings that come with power. But the other thing is the warrior in you.
Now, before you go there, because I think because this is one of the greatest need, especially for a man. And I think we'll do injustice if at all we don't dig a little bit deeper. Because we have a community, or we have a generation where we have very empowered women. Can an empowered woman still be respectful and honor?
Yep. Listen,
because I think there is a where we confuse this. You get what I'm saying? That somebody is empowered, somebody is strong, but you find there are gaps. Here. I don't know.
I know. Let me add on that. Let me I know we are opening a kind of worms, but I'll go home. I'll go back to my house. Very soon. Okay. We are living in a generation whereby maybe we are living with a very, very empowered women. Good example. My wife is learned than I am.
Yeah.
But that does not mean that she doesn't respect me.
That's right.
And she honors me. But let me use this. It's a Japanese term. It's called kaizen. Kaizen is a motto they use. It's called continuous improvement.
Yeah.
I mean, they use it in the corporate world and they use it within the industries whereby they believe in the motto of continuous improvement. And I believe we can borrow that statement when it comes to marriage, whereby somebody is more empowered than the other. What I mean by this is that because these women are going back to school, obviously they have learned, now they see things differently. And I believe the more you learn, the more you are learning, you see things differently. And then you cannot ignore that. But then I think as men, we need also to adopt this kaizen, continuous improvement.
Yeah.
You may not go back to school as per se, like your wife, or maybe the other way around, but there must be need of improvement. That when she's talking about maybe she's done a degree in something, at least you can engage in the conversation from a learned. Does it make sense?
Yes.
Because I think this needs to be mutual. You are not doing a catch-up. But I think this is whereby both of you realize actually maybe the man has gone back to school, he's learned. I think there must be that effort of improving yourself to a point even you can be able to enter into that conversation. But if we are still in that level whereby I'm not saying that you become scientific and all those
that's right.
terminologies, but at least you know the industry she's working in or he's working in, that you can be able to engage. Because if there is no continuous improvement, brothers and sisters, not brothers and sisters, listen, there will be trouble. And I think we need to understand this, that as much as your wife may be empowered, there must be that continuous improvement. I'm not saying that you do a catch-up, but also there must be understanding that, listen, this is her field, this is my field, but I still honor. And also it's good to remember the history. Maybe there was a sacrifice that was made. Let me give it in a good setup. Maybe, for example, here in UK, if maybe the woman she's empowered, but before she arrived to that, at what expense? Maybe the man had to do extra shift. Maybe the man had to take care of the children. And there was a lot of sacrifice that was done for you to arrive to where you are. So there must be that understanding that I may be empowered, but I need to understand that actually there's somebody who paid the price. So we should not ignore the history, where you've come from, or the journey. And so it is also. So all these things being together, the continuous improvement, understanding the journey, and knowing actually the empowerment is for our benefit as a family. Because maybe I would have said this word: when people get married, they do not, they do not come to. They come from different worlds. So it means that I came from a different background. My wife came from a different background. So different worlds. So but we drop the different world and we make one world, meaning that we become one, and everything that we do now, it becomes, we are working together as a vision, as one. And so when you are empowered, it's a joy for the family. It's for us. We celebrate together, just the way we celebrate our children when they achieve. And I think why the problem is so much arising is because it was not one vision. And where there's, division comes from two visions. So when we talk about the word division, it means two vision in the home. So if you did this, if the woman went back to school to be empowered, she was supposed, it was part of the vision of the family. But if it was a personal vision, then there will be a division.
Yeah.